So Don Mihala asked me to talk to everybody today. Just a quick introduction on me. My name is Bill Mullholland again. I'm with American Relocation Connections. I've been working on government relocation since about 2000. Ran into a guy here today that knew my dad. My dad's a retired FBI agent, 32 years. Talked to Don Murray, used to work with him in Harrisburg, PA, and I have a brother who's a Secret Service agent. So I'm familiar with the law enforcement community, both at work and at home. So I'm currently the Director of Operations at American Relocation Connections. We're a third-party relocation company, and I oversee the day-to-day operations for all military and government contracts that we have. And I act as our liaison between the GSA office. And that's a little background on me. If you advance to the next slide, Ryan, I'll talk a little bit of background on our company. American Relocation Connections is a third-party company. We're on the GSA schedule. We work with all federal law enforcement agents as well as military institutions. And my goal today is Don wanted me to mention some of the best practice for government moves. He just went through it himself. We saved him a couple $1,000s on his guaranteed home buyout. He had some appraisal issues. He thought it was very important for FLEOA members to know the resources that we have available for you guys, the benefits that we have available for you guys, and he wanted me to just give you a few tips based on what we've seen that's going on with the sequestration and a lot of changes in the government relocation process. So Ryan, if you advance to the next one. So this is just a little slide. I pulled some statistics before I came. Last year, according to the GSA, 25,000 government employees relocated, and 6,500 of those, or just 26%, had a formalized relocation program. What that means is there's a few agencies that are probably present here today, the DEA, the FBI, the Secret Service. They have a formalized program. They have a third-party relocation company. The other 76% of people that were relocated have no formalized assistance whatsoever. You incur the costs, you file for reimbursement, pretty much told good luck, and that's about it. So we've created a whole process to assist with that. On top of that, we have issues that we've seen over the past 6 years with the economy, the government budget, the sequestration being kind of ordered to do more with less, the real estate market, and a lot of agencies going just towards maybe even a lump sum, not even direct reimbursement. Or unpaid transfers, asking people to raise their hand and take the move without any financial assistance whatsoever. So we've had to get creative, innovative, and do a lot more things to work more with less. The questions that's come about from a lot of our clients is, are there programs out there to help, and is there an advocate for us? So those are the tips I'm going to talk about today and let you guys know what's available, not only for yourselves, but hopefully to pass back onto your offices when you get back home. So Ryan, if you want to advance to the next slide, this is our slide on without support. This is just a glimpse at the FTR, the Federal Travel Regulation. Probably 90% of the people in this room work for agencies that follow the FTR. The other percentage may follow the JTR, the Joint Travel Regs. I talked to a couple people with Department of Defense and Air Force. They're more or less the same thing. And again, most of the time you're left to this massive document and trying to weed your way through it and decipher it and figure out what's covered, what's not, what should I do, with little to no assistance whatsoever. So Ryan, if you advance to the next slide. The basics of it is almost all the agencies in this room will cover up to 10% on your home selling costs and up to 5% on your home purchase costs. But that doesn't mean everything's covered. So I'll give you a perfect example. I can't tell you how many people that we talk to, the real estate agent charges them 7%. They add up all their costs on the home selling side and they say, okay, total I'm at 8.5. My agency told me they'd cover 10. I'm good. I'm 1.5% ahead of the game. The agency does the audit and says, no, your realtor charged you 7%. They should have charged you 6%. You're out 1%, maybe $5,000. So one of the things that we do is we explain to people, we act as an advocate and a resource to let them know what costs in that 10% are eligible. We review all the costs before they're submitted to your agency to make sure that everything you're charged, you're going to get back. That's a very important thing, obviously. So Ryan, if you want to advance to the next slide. Expert knowledge and guidance. This is just a little excerpt from the FTR that more or less says the onus is on you. It's your duty to figure out that the costs you're incurring are eligible. You are responsible for determining that. So if you fall in the 76%, there's no one to assist you, and it falls on you. So that's one of the things that we do at American Relocation is, again, we review all costs. We have contracts with all of our contractors to have them guarantee that any costs that they're charging you must be eligible. If they're not and you file, the contractor that you use will come back and reimburse you after the fact because they overcharged you. So that's big. Next slide, Ryan, if you want to advance to that. This is just kind of an illustration of with ARC and without. So when you move and when you're relocated, PCS, transfer number, there's a lot of events that you're going to see. Typically a home sale. You may have a guaranteed buyout depending on the agency that you work for. You may need temporary housing, shipment of household goods, home purchase, or rental assistance on the destination end. So we've created resources and discounts for each one of those events. And I'll go ahead and just give you a few examples and break them down. Number one, on the home sale, what we normally typically do, and we've actually run into a couple people in this room that are using us right now, so if you talk to people that are here that are going through our program, they'll tell you this. The first thing we do is we've put together a rebate program. So on our table, we have this chart, and we've negotiated through all the major brokerages nationwide, Coldwell Banker, Prudential, Century 21, you name it, a 0.5% rebate back to all FLEOA members. So if you use one of our realtors on a home sale or home purchase, you get 0.5% back after closing. So easy math, if it's a $400,000 home, you get $2,000 back. If it's a $300,000 home, you get $1,500 back. The other thing that we do is we have guaranteed service agreements in place with these companies. So for example, if you list your home with Prudential, they have you sign a 3 or 4 month listing agreement. 2 weeks into it, the realtor's just not saying what they said they were going to do, and you're not happy. For any reason, at any time, you have the right to break the listing agreement without penalty or any cost being incurred whatsoever by you. It's another thing that we've negotiated. You'll also have an advocate to help you throughout the process. That's us, so that's a thing that's in place for those 74% agencies that before had no advocacy. So you're working with a relocation counselor like Ryan or any one of the people in our office who do this hundreds of times a month, can speak intelligently on the cost, the process, and have kind of an advocate on your side throughout things. Ryan, if you click to the next slide, here's one of the first tips we want to throw out, broker commissions. So I mentioned as my example, sometimes people will get overcharged. There's actually a few states where the normal commission is 5%. Before the sequestration hit, it wasn't a big deal. Now we're seeing government agencies actually go back 3 to 4 years and audit expenses that were reimbursed that they never audited before to see if they can pick up things to go back after the employee. So it's getting pretty crazy out there. Most of the relocation departments were tasked with saving 30% on costs. So one thing is Jersey, Massachusetts, a lot of the New England areas, Chicago, the typical commission is actually 5%. Some agencies are getting so aggressive, they're going back to their employee and saying, your realtor really should have charged you 5%. Even though you're under the 10% total, we may ask you to pay us back 1%. So it's getting pretty crazy. The guaranteed buyout, a lot of agencies have guaranteed home buyouts. It's designed for when they tell their employee, hey, we need you to be at the new duty station in 90 days. And maybe you live in an area like Detroit or Stockton, California, or Las Vegas, Nevada, and the marketing time is not 90 days. You're going to be forced to take a guaranteed buyout by the government. And if you've ever talked to any of your peers that have gone through that process, it's not always the most fair buyout price. So we put together a whole program in place to assist people that have to do that. Number one, we've comprised a database over the last 9 years on all the appraisers. So we advise FLEOA members when they go through, based on our experience, here are the appraisers that we would suggest, and here are the appraisers we've had to assist a lot of FLEOA members with on an appeal. We've had issues with them. You may want to consider using them. The other thing we do is we get with you to provide the appraisers the sales to use to base your value on. So what we found they were doing is they were basing them on foreclosures, short sales, just the worst sales in the area to go in with the bottom line value. And the last thing we do is we review the buyout for you at no cost, and we'll write up an appeal if it's not fair. Ryan actually used to be the appraisal reviewer at the relocation company for the government agencies. So now he's on the other side. He reviews them as an advocate on your behalf. If we find mistakes, we appeal it, we send it in. All things designed to get that guaranteed buyout at a fair price. That way, if you're forced into using it, it's fair. Next slide, Ryan, if you want to advance to that. The home purchase affinity rebate program. So I briefly mentioned that, but again, you can couple that with your other process so you get 0.5% back after the sale and or the purchase. So all those costs that are not going to be covered, now you can use the few $1,000s that you'll pick up on either end to pay for all those costs. Shipment of household goods. Almost every agency is going to cover the shipment of your household goods up to 18,000 pounds. Again, from what we've seen lately, a lot of the agencies are doing no-cost transfers, so they're asking people to volunteer and pick it up on your dime. If you choose to do that, you can contact us and we get discounts through all the major van lines. We treat it like it's a government relocation, so we require the same discounts that the government requires. So you have your traditional van lines like United and Atlas. If you want to do it yourself because it's on your dime, we also get discounts through pods and all the smaller local do-it-yourself. One thing I should probably mention is this does not have to be an official relocation. We have people call us all the time who just want to move locally, down the street, buy a second home. You can use the rebate program, the discounts, everything. So we've coupled the reload process for just personal moves. People also refer their family members to us, friends. As long as they mention something to do with federal law enforcement, we'll put them under this program for the rebates and everything else. So next slide, temporary housing. If you need it, we have solutions on that. People will call us if they have to go to training or do a TDY, or if they get relocated out and the house sells quicker than they had planned, or the new home isn't ready. Once again, we get discounts. So you can make one phone call. We blast it out to all the providers. We get discounts through Oakwood, Equity, National Corporate Housing. Actually, John emailed us when the floods hit Long Island. A lot of FLEOA members were displaced from their homes. So we accessed our discounts on the temporary housing in Jersey and put a lot of people up, FLEOA members up in TQ there. So there's a number of reasons that you may need it. And the other thing we do, just besides the financial piece of the discount, is we leverage our relationships. So in a situation like that, when the floods happened and housing was at a premium, no one could even find anywhere to go, we're a partner that's going to our vendors saying, hey, we send you thousands and thousands of moves a year, so you need to help out our clients. So it's not just one person trying to figure it out on their own. We leverage our relationships with these providers to get, not only better deals, but kind of special favors for our clients. Next slide, destination, same thing, wherever you're headed to, we'll set you up with the rebate program with the real estate agent. We have an entire relocation package on the new area FedExed out to you. So that in and of itself is helpful, especially if it's an area you've never been before, because it's got maps, mass transit, education info, obviously information on the housing program. That can be extremely helpful. We'll talk to people who are completely overwhelmed. Maybe they're working on the UN and all of a sudden their transfer orders come out. Or it's a new agent at FLEOA and they're just worried about passing their tests and making it, and let alone focusing on how do I do my first relocation without any assistance at all. So this is extremely helpful. We even have relocation packages for the kids. So if they have children, it's got coloring in there and maps they can fill out of their new area and their own little packing labels for their toys and clothes and kind of cool things like that, and crayons. So it just takes that personalized service to the next level, and our members really like that. So Ryan, if you want to click the next slide. Another tip I wanted to throw out there is under the FTR, when you purchase a home, the government will pay for a point to buy down your interest rate. But one thing that we've seen going on lately is they call it an origination point. So if you ever talk to any mortgage lender, an origination point and a discount point is pretty much the same thing. It's 1% and it buys your rate down, but the government only covers an origination point. And from what we've seen, especially lately, people will go with lenders and they call it a discount point and they find out 20 days after closing, they're not going to get reimbursed 1%. So that's huge. So you get into word semantics, and especially now, they're really looking over things. So for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing, but the FTR and the JTR say it has to be called an origination point. So once again, when someone goes through our program, we review the HUD before closing. We make sure every single thing on there is eligible. If it's not, we get it removed. That way you don't have to worry about what's coming back. So all costs are covered, plus you get the rebate back after closing. So that's another thing we wanted to say. The motto of the Synergies, I just want to put there, don't go it alone, was on the FLEOA blast. We really like that. Our motto that we always put out is you support us, we support you. So I mean, when you're relocating, it's such a stressful event. The average person moves every 5 to 6 years. Like I said, we're doing hundreds a month. So we're really able to share not only our discounts, but our guidance, our expertise, knowledge, and people really like to bounce things off of us and just ask us questions. I wanted to kind of free up a little bit of time if anyone had questions, and I know we were under a time constraint, so I was trying to talk extra fast. I hope I didn't completely overwhelm anyone, but I did want to put out there, again, my contact information. I'm going to leave my business cards. If anyone knows of anyone in their office or themselves are getting PCS or transferred, please contact us. I'll follow up and send you out any literature that I talked about today about what's covered, what's not covered. We actually have a nice little cheat sheet. So if you want that, email me, and it's just got a checklist, yes and no, what's covered, what's not under the FTR. So that's a really nice thing to look at. So any questions for me at all? Yeah. ATF just started doing that, but it's your choice. So if you work for the ATF now, they'll give you a choice, and they'll say, you can have the home sale program where we'll cover all your costs, or based on your GS rank, your marital status, and your number of dependents, we've come up with a formula where we'll just give you a one-time lump sum and good luck. It's tempting because it looks like a lot of money. However, I'll warn you, relocating is extremely expensive. Most of the people who took the lump sum and said, I can work this and probably put a little bit of cash in my pocket, figured out at the end they actually end up under a financial hardship and have to come out of pocket. So that's a great program for the agency because it cuts down on all the administrative burden of doing expense reimbursements and the time, and they can just write you a check and say good luck. And it looks tempting because it might be 75 grand, but you're surprised at the end of the day. Think about 7% of your selling costs on your home and the shipment of household goods. It's not cheap. So yeah, more and more agencies are looking to do the lump sum now. So there's also a tax consequence to that too. The IRS views that as taxable income. So at the end of the year, you say, wait a minute, I didn't make this much money. And your accountant, CPA says, well, you got this big relocation lump sum, and that could bump you up to an entirely new tax bracket. So, yeah, the way they do the tax calculations on the reimbursement, the government calls it WEDA tax adjustments. They go back in and code everything so there's no tax implications. That's huge.
Is there like a, not counting LA and New York and DC, is there like a rough guesstimate on the average cost that you're seeing people, it costing people to move? Because like my agency, they are very adamant the only time they've moved people was when people got in trouble and then they shift them to headquarters. And so they've been trying to get me to come back up here, and I've only got 4 years. I'm not going to pay my money. But any idea, ballpark, what you're seeing for average cost on people?
Yeah, there's an organization called the Employee Relocation Council, the ERC, and they put out these statistics every year of what it costs to move. And I think the average relocation last year was about $90,000. The shipment of household goods was about 15 grand. And that's not surprising to us at all. I mean, it's really shocking how much these cost. And I think the average home sale price was $350,000, and it was 8%. So if you do the quick math, you're looking at about 30 grand right there. Then you have home purchase and all the other little ancillary costs. So yeah, it can be extremely expensive. So what I would recommend is if you do go a lump sum method or even direct reimbursement is when you speak to real estate agents or whoever the vendors are, ask them to send you what their average charges are. So if a realtor says, well, I charge 7%, say, great, let me see the HUDs on the last couple home sales you've done that you're charging other people 7%. If they can produce it, then that probably is the legitimate charge in your area. If not, go off what they're charging everyone else. So we've seen people run into a lot of issues with that. Certain states are more expensive than others to sell real estate into. They have transfer taxes. So Pennsylvania has got 2% transfer tax. So right off the bat in PA, if you're selling a house, you're at about 9%. It's really expensive. So that's another thing to be wary of when you go the lump sum is how much is it going to cost me to sell this house? There's no way out of government transfer taxes. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, I think I made it under my 30-minute time slot, so